When was each NFL franchise at its peak? For some, you'll have to travel back a half century.
And it's a touchdown for Pittsburgh!
While others are at their best today.
Their third Super Bowl in 5 years!
And a few teams can make a case for multiple eras, see the Cowboys, Raiders, and Colts. Throughout this video, we're going to outline the most successful time frames in the Super Bowl era for all 32 teams. Each of these golden ages is special in its own right, so without further ado...
Hey baby, let's go out there like a bunch of crazy dogs and have some fun!
Lawrence Taylor's got that throttle opened at about 200%.
The late 80s and early 90s Giants had one of the scariest collections of defensive assets in history. Between coaches Bill Parcells, Bill Belichick, and Hall of Fame players Lawrence Taylor and Harry Carson, this team struck fear into every opponent. During the Parcells era, the Giants became Giant Slayers. After playoff losses to San Francisco in '81 and '84, New York exacted its revenge with a beatdown in the '86 divisional.
Throws wildly, intercepted! There goes Taylor down to the 20! 10, touchdown!
Then they prevented Joe Montana's bunch from three-peating in 1990.
It is good!
It's over for the three-peats!
Both seasons culminated in New York championships. Phil Simms played a near-perfect game in Super Bowl 21.
Simms throws, end zone, Bavard, touchdown!
While the G-men fell on the winning side of Scott Norwood's last-second miss in Super Bowl 25.
No good!
New York became the fourth franchise to win 2 Super Bowls in its first 2 tries. Under Parcells, Lawrence Taylor became the second defensive player to win MVP. The Giants won 67% of their regular season games from 1984 to 1990 and finished with a top 10 scoring defense 6 times.
When that whistle blow, we unleash hell today. When that whistle blow, we unleash hell. Defense wins championships. Defense, we dominate today. Get off the field! Get off the field! I told you I'm coming!
Bookended with a pair of Super Bowl victories, the Ravens' 13-year era of defensive dominance was led by perhaps the greatest linebacker to ever do it.
The Baltimore Ravens have selected Ray Lewis, linebacker, University of Miami.
Baltimore also took left tackle Jonathan Ogden in that '96 draft, setting the foundation for years to come. Together, these two Hall of Famers brought glory to a city longing to reconnect with their rich football history.
Throwing deep down the middle for Stokely. He's got it. 10-5. Touchdown. And the Ravens are the champions of the world. Hallelujah.
That 2000 Ravens squad won 11 straight games to end the season, allowing just 1 touchdown in the playoffs. Hall of Famers Rod Woodson and Shannon Sharpe were big contributors, and a couple years later, Baltimore added arguably the greatest ball hawk in NFL history.
Ed Reed out of the end zone, about 105 yards. That's a Raven all-time record.
With Lewis, Reed, and Terrell Suggs leading the defense, Baltimore added Joe Flacco and head coach John Harbaugh in 2008. Those moves paid off tremendously as the Ravens would make 5 straight playoff trips, culminating in another Super Bowl season in 2012.
Jacoby Jones, 108 yards.
And the Baltimore Ravens have won the Super Bowl.
The Joe Montana, Steve Young 49ers were utterly and impossibly dominant. And who could forget the moment that started it all?
Throws his pass, caught by Clark, touchdown for the 49ers!
Between 1981 and 1998, San Francisco developed consistent success that rivaled the Bears, Packers, and Browns from the early 20th century. Pittsburgh's 4 Super Bowls in the 1970s were the gold standard of excellence, yet San Francisco found a way to set the bar even higher. Between head coaches Bill Walsh and George Seifert, the Niners put together 2 of the longest playoff streaks in NFL history, an 8-year stretch in the 80s and 7 straight in the 90s. They won 13 division titles and became the first team to win 5 Super Bowls.
On 4th down, has the ball, hands it off. He's met at the goal line. I don't believe he got in.
And Craig goes in for the score.
Into the end zone, touchdown to Taylor.
Launches it for the end zone. Jerry Rice. Oh, what a catch by Rice. The San Francisco 49ers are the first team to win 5 Super Bowl championships.
Over 18 seasons, the 49ers won a staggering 74% of their games. San Fran had MVPs, Offensive Players of the Year, Defensive Players of the Year, and everything in between.
Owens! 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 Caught it! He caught it! He caught it!
Sure, guys like Rice, Lott, and Dion garnered the attention, but these teams were exactly that, cohesive units built to sustain. Think about glue guys like Randy Cross, John Taylor, Merton Hanks, and Tom Rathman. As free agency and the salary cap came to the NFL in the 90s, San Francisco evolved perhaps better than any team. Before the Brady-Belichick Patriots, these Niners were the greatest success in the history of the Super Bowl era. With all due respect to the Sid Gilman and Don Coryell Chargers, they didn't have a player like LaDainian Tomlinson. He's arguably the greatest in franchise history and reinvigorated a middling team in the early 2000s.
And a big-time gain for a big-time player. Tomlinson a juggle. He's got it. He's in the end zone again.
Why not?
What a day for LaDainian Tomlinson.
Tomlinson was drafted alongside Drew Brees, and together they had San Diego playoff bound by 2004. The Bolts wouldn't have another losing season until 2012. Head coach Marty Schottenheimer's affinity to pound the rock had LT leading the Bolts to a 14-2 record-breaking season in 2006.
And he will gallop into the end zone. Charger fans are witnesses to history.
Tomlinson's 31 touchdowns that year haven't been topped since. Phillip Rivers and All-Pro Antonio Gates took care of the rest, forming one of the most potent QB tight end combos ever. San Diego finished top 5 in scoring offense every year from 2004 to 2009.
Looking end zone's got Gates. Touchdown, San Diego!
The 6'4", 260-pound Antonio Gates, the athletic and gifted one.
He is unreal.
Defensive standouts like Sean Merriman, Antonio Cromartie, Jamal Williams, and Eric Weddle helped the Chargers win 70% of their regular season games from 2004 to 2009. They took down opponents by an average of 130 points per season, which was top 3 in the league over that stretch. San Diego won 5 AFC West titles and 2 monster playoff victories against Peyton Manning's Colts.
Sproles inside the 10, inside the 5, and the Chargers win the game.
We mentioned Coryell's bunch at the top, and they deserve some praise for transcending the passing game through the 70s and 80s. The Air Coryell offense, powered by Dan Fouts, Kellen Winslow, and Charlie Joyner, led San Diego to 4 playoff appearances and 3 consecutive division titles.
Caught by Smith. Touchdown, San Diego. Throws it toward the end zone. Touchdown, San Diego.
The Chargers made back-to-back AFC championships in 80 and 81. Sadly, though, they never got to the big dance. It didn't take long for the Minnesota Vikings to establish themselves as one of the NFL's powers. After the franchise's first 7 seasons, Bud Grant came to town and turned Minnesota into a juggernaut.
Find out how to win, the more ways to win. It's something that prevails on a football club. I don't think that our team feels they're ever going to lose a ball game.
The Hall of Fame coach won the Western Conference's Central Division in just his 2nd season, then won 10 more division titles over the next 11 years. In Grant's 3rd campaign, he guided the Vikings to their first and only NFL title.
Washington, his defender fell down. Touchdown. And Bud Grant has led the Minnesota Vikings to the championship of the National Football League.
Minnesota would go on to make 4 Super Bowl appearances in an 8-year stretch, though the coveted Lombardi Trophy would elude them each time. After beginning his career with the Vikes, Hall of Fame quarterback Fran Tarkenton returned in 1972, where he'd go on to break the all-time passing record. Grant coached 6 Hall of Fame players in Minnesota, including the game's best ball hawk, Paul Krause, whose 81 career interceptions are the most in NFL history. Minnesota won 73% of their games from 1968 to 1978 and boasted 2 league MVPs in that time. Tarkenton and D lineman Alan Page, the first defensive player to ever win the award. The Bills' perfect storm began to take shape when Marv Levy took over as interim head coach in 1986. QB Jim Kelly arrived in Buffalo after the USFL collapsed. Bruce Smith and Andre Reed were drafted in 85, and Thurman Thomas came in 88. This core of Hall of Famers ignited one of the most successful runs since the merger.
Thurman Thomas has broken a 31-yard touchdown run.
and the Bills have taken the lead. Last play of the game, and he dives for the touchdown. The Bills have won it in one of the most dramatic finishes in Buffalo Bills football history.
From 1988 to 1996, the Bills compiled the second largest point differential and second best win percentage in the league. They developed 2 Defensive Players of the Year in Smith and Bryce Popp, plus a league MVP in Thurman Thomas, who won it in 1991.
Here is Thomas. What a great move!
A spectacular run by Thurman Thomas. Breaks it off, comes to the 5, and goes in for the touchdown.
Buffalo scored significant wins during this stretch, like their 1990 beatdown of the Raiders in the AFC Championship game.
The Bills are in the Super Bowl for the first time in their history.
And the largest comeback in playoff history,
and Houston now leads 35-3.
Engineered by backup quarterback Frank Reich.
Reed for the touchdown! Unbelievable! The Bills are back in it now. The kick is on the way, and it is good, and the Bills have won it.
Buffalo won 6 division titles in an 8-season stretch from 1988 to 1995, appearing in 4 Super Bowls from 1990 to 1993. Although they came up empty in all of them, no team in NFL history has ever won 4 consecutive conference championship games. And history repeats itself, which is mostly good news for the Bills.
Oh, there he goes. No one's gonna get him!
Another superstar quarterback comes through Western New York and is joined by another star receiver. Together, Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs catapulted the Bills into the upper echelon of the league, but couldn't quite get over the hump in the playoffs. Nevertheless, Allen remains elite with Diggs departed, as the Bills look to finally bring that silver trophy to Buffalo. It's rare to define an era by a single front office guru, but that's exactly the case with the Eagles today. Howie Roseman joined the franchise as an intern in 2000, and just a decade later was named GM and eventually EVP of football operations.
The Philadelphia Eagles are Super Bowl champions. Let the celebration begin.
2017 marked the first Super Bowl win in team history thanks to a red-hot Nick Foles. The Eagles went 13-3 that year and have been to the playoffs every season since outside of 2020.
He looks, he fires, and it is complete. Touchdown, Golden Tate.
The Nick Sirianni-Jalen Hurts experiment launched in 2021, and the two have meshed to near perfection. The young QB has been efficient through the air and unstoppable on the ground, on pace to score the most rushing touchdowns by a quarterback in NFL history.
And now they're in the quarterback sneak formation, the tush push.
And there's very few things in the NFL you can take to the bank. I mean, this is clearly one of them.
Hurts led the Birds to Super Bowl 57, falling just short after an instant classic. Roseman's put on a draft clinic over the years. Kelsey, Cox, Johnson, Ertz, Smith, Carter, and so many more. Not to mention a ridiculous list of veteran acquisitions.
There goes Barkley into the clear, through the snow, all the way home. He's hit another home run.
2024 was Roseman's Mona Lisa. The Eagles signed Saquon Barkley, eventual Offensive Player of the Year, and All-Pro linebacker Zach Bond, among others. Further back, it's been additions like A.J. Brown, Hassan Reddick, Brandon Brooks, and Malcolm Jenkins that have taken this franchise to new levels. But back to 2024.
It's intercepted. It's intercepted.
Cooper DeJean, a pick six in the Super Bowl on your birthday.
Philly's third Super Bowl appearance in just 8 seasons resulted in their second Lombardi trophy, and with this core in place, it feels like things are just getting started. Which way do you go for the Oilers and Titans?
McNair throws left. He gets away somehow. Fires downfield. There's Dyson. Tackled at the 10 with 5 seconds to go.
You had the McNair era, where the star QB led Tennessee to the Super Bowl in 1999 and won co-MVP in 2003. What about the reign of King Henry?
He's now over 2,000, just the 8th player in NFL history to do that.
He's just a beast.
The Titans went 5 straight years without a losing season once the All-Pro became the top dog in the Titans' backfield. While each period was sensational in Music City, we're going back to the days in Houston when the run and shoot was in style.
Moon with time. Now throws over the middle. Jeffries, he's got it at the 40.
Into the end zone. Touchdown!
Yeah! Absolute dart from Warren Moon.
The Oilers strike like lightning.
From 1987 to 1993, the Houston Oilers spread it out and finished with a top 10 scoring offense in every season. Warren Moon had the perfect arm to orchestrate the high-powered attack, protected by fellow Hall of Famers Bruce Matthews and Mike Munchak. Moon captured the 1990 Offensive Player of the Year award, and the Oilers did all this under two defensive-minded coaches, Jerry Glanville and Jack Pardee.
Childress just beat his man too quickly. What a play by Childress right there.
That is a great play by their all-pro.
Houston finished with a top 10 scoring defense every year from 1991 to 1993. They had all-pro D lineman Ray Childress to thank for that. Al Smith and Chris Dishman also played key roles. Offensively, the receiving trio of Drew Hill, Haywood Jeffries, and Ernest Givens made life easy for Moon.
He's going for Hill.
Oh!
What a catch!
Ernest Givens! Whoa!
Down the middle he goes. Caught touchdown. Haywood Jeffries.
Houston's 7-season playoff streak is one of the longest in NFL history. Unfortunately, the party stopped short of the AFC Championship in each of those campaigns.
They're the Green Bay Packers, the world's champion team of professional pigskin performers. Hear, hear.
As one of the original kings of the NFL, the Green Bay Packers have always had a rich history and tradition, but from the late 40s to 50s, they had fallen out of touch with their roots. Then Vince Lombardi showed up and reinstilled the Green Bay identity, turning them into a powerhouse that even Curly Lambeau would have been impressed with.
Gentlemen, this is the most important play we have. It's the play we must make go. It's the play that we will make go. And it's the play that we will run again and again and again.
What we're trying to get is a seal here and a seal here and try to run this play in the alley.
From 1960 to 67, Lombardi's Packers won 77% of their games and outscored opponents by an average of 151 points per season, headlined by Hall of Famers Bart Starr, Jim Taylor, Paul Hornung, Forrest Gregg, and Ray Nitschke. This Packers era was as dominant as any in pro football history thanks to moments like this.
And the Green Bay Packers are going to be world champions.
And this.
He picks it up to 40, 50, down to the 40, to 30, and goes all the way for a touchdown.
Clutch plays by legendary figures cemented Lombardi's Packers as one of the NFL's greatest eras ever. Between 1960 and 67, they won 6 division titles, 5 NFL championships, and the first 2 Super Bowls. It's called the Lombardi Trophy for a reason, right? Out of darkness comes light. That's one way to describe how the John Elway era played out in Denver. Always the Super Bowl loser in the 80s, Elway and the Broncos were vindicated by winning 2 Lombardis in the late 90s.
This one's for John.
Fellow Hall of Famers Steve Atwater, Terrell Davis, Shannon Sharp, and Gary Zimmerman helped the Broncos become the 6th franchise to win back-to-back Super Bowls, and despite the 80s failures in the big game, Elway and company had some magical moments throughout that era.
John Elway has just thrown the touchdown to Mark Jackson, 98.5-yard drive. He's at the goal line, Biner loses the ball, Broncos come away with a football.
And I can't think of a guy you want at the helm other than Elway in situations like this. Unbelievable. The kick is good! As the Broncos with one of their greatest come from behind wins.
Elway won an MVP in '87 for his performance during the strike-shortened season, while Davis captured that honor for his 2,000-yard campaign in '98.
There it is, Terrell Davis is mobbed by his teammates on the sideline. What a player.
Davis was the 4th player to accomplish that feat. The Broncos made 10 playoff appearances, winning 7 division titles during Elway's 16-year career. His 5 Super Bowl appearances are tied for 4th most by a single player in NFL history. Over a decade after Elway retired, the Broncos returned to prominence with a great stretch that began with Tebow Mania in 2011.
Got him at the 40. Denver's going on to New England. They win it on the first play of overtime.
A year later, there was a new sheriff in town. In Peyton Manning's second campaign as a Bronco, he set the single-season passing TD record and won his 5th MVP.
A record-setting performance by Peyton Manning, his 51st touchdown pass. What a year for Peyton Manning.
In 2015, Manning's final season, Von Miller and the no-fly zone secondary helped the legendary QB go out on top, beating Cam Newton and the one-loss Panthers in Super Bowl 50.
The Denver Broncos are world champions. They have just won Super Bowl 50.
Seahawks coach Pete Carroll always encouraged guys to compete hard for their jobs, so when Seattle signed expensive free agent Matt Flynn during the 2012 offseason and drafted Russell Wilson in the 3rd round, Carroll had no issue handing the starting role to the guy who earned it.
Throws deep down the middle, got a man out there, Sidney Rice! Touchdown! Seahawks! And given a chance by his rookie quarterback with a perfect pass, man oh Manischewitz. Russell Wilson is absolutely unflappable.
Alongside Marshawn Lynch and the famed Legion of Boom defense featuring Sherman, Chancellor, Thomas, and Wagner, this new regime catapulted the Seahawks into the national spotlight. Wilson's first season resulted in 11 wins and a wild card victory over Washington.
And off to Lynch, he breaks another tackle. He breaks another. Touchdown, Seahawks!
A year later, they took it up a notch.
And Seattle is making it look easy against the Denver Broncos. They're bringing the trophy home. Your Seahawks, Super Bowl 48 champions.
That beatdown was one of the largest blowouts in Super Bowl history. In 2014, Seattle won the NFC West again and returned to the Super Bowl. And even though they didn't win, the Seahawks defense posted back-to-back years as the #1 unit in the league. And it's worth noting how that team got back to the Super Bowl in the first place.
Can you say comeback? Drops back. He's going to throw down the middle. He's got a man. The ball is caught.
Game over,
it is a touchdown. The Seahawks are going back to the Super Bowl.
For 9 seasons, Seattle produced one iconic moment after another.
Ball is picked up and afterward. Is it picked off? It is. It's picked off in the end zone. Are you kidding me? Holy catfish. Marshawn Lynch says, get out of my way!
These Seahawks made 8 playoff appearances in 9 seasons, winning 4 division titles. From 2012 to 2020, they won 68% of their games and averaged a plus 101 yearly point differential. It would be a sin to neglect the 50s Browns here, but since we're devoting these eras to post-Super Bowl campaigns, we'll go with the teams that immediately followed legendary coach Paul Brown.
And it is complete at the 10, and Collins scores. And the Cleveland Browns win it 27-0.
Led by Blanton Collier, Cleveland took home the NFL title in 1964 and tied for the second most wins in the NFL through 1972. It was evident that Brown left a winning foundation, and Collier benefited tremendously. He got 2 great years out of Jim Brown and would transition to another Hall of Fame back right after.
Turns inside, he's at the 7, 6, 5, 4, 1, touchdown Cleveland! Leroy Kelly into the end zone.
And Leroy Kelly can hurt you in a lot of ways, not only running but receiving.
Leroy Kelly was named first-team All-Pro 3 straight seasons from 1966 to 1968, scoring nearly 50 touchdowns in that span. Quarterbacks Frank Ryan, Bill Nelson, and Mike Phipps each led the Browns to playoff seasons. In fact, Cleveland appeared in 4 NFL championship games from 1964 to 1969.
Paul Warfield averaged 20 yards per catch.
Throws to Warfield, a touchdown! Warfield did a great move at the goal line.
All-Pros Paul Warfield, Gary Collins, and Gene Hickerson were vital to this success. Head coach Nick Skorich eventually took over for Collier and led the Browns to back-to-back playoff trips in 71 and 72. Now, one could easily make the case for the 80s Browns here, starting with an MVP that nobody saw coming.
Brian Sipe to throw.
Touchdown to feature! Brian Sipe has uncorked his second TD bomb here, and Brian delivered a perfect strike.
In 1980, quarterback Brian Sipe joined Brown as one of 2 Browns to ever win the award. Fast forward to the Schottenheimer teams of the late 80s. Cleveland captured 4 division titles in 5 seasons with Marty and later Bud Carson, and while these Browns fell victim to Elway's Broncos 3 times in the AFC Championship game, for each heartbreaking loss, there was an exciting win.
The kick is up, it is good! The Browns have won the game! The Browns won the game in double overtime! It's intercepted by Clay Matthews! The Browns are going to win! Clay Matthews has intercepted intercepted Kelly.
6 playoff appearances in a decade seemed like pretty lofty expectations for Falcons fans. However, when Matt Ryan showed up in 2008, he made it a reality.
His first professional pass is a 62-yard strike. They don't script this stuff in Hollywood, Arch. Matt will throw. Downfield, Jenkins there. Caught out of bounds with 1 second left.
Has the kid from Boston College been good today or what?
From 2008 to 2017, Matty Ice did all he could for Atlanta. In his first season, Ryan quarterbacked the Falcons to the playoffs, winning Offensive Rookie of the Year. 2 years later, they won the NFC South, and by 2012, Atlanta was hosting the NFC Championship game, but the best was yet to come.
Touchdown, Julio Jones!
And Matt Ryan just went over 500 yards throwing the football.
End zone, caught, Sanu, touchdown Atlanta.
In 2016, he became the first MVP in franchise history and led the Falcons to their first Super Bowl appearance in nearly 2 decades. And although they didn't bring home the win, Ryan's Falcons still earned some clutch victories over his career.
Called White, 10-5, touchdown Atlanta! Steps up, gonna sail it. White's out there, and Roddy makes the catch at the 40-yard line. Matt's gonna throw. Gonzalez the catch. 35. Tony tackled 31-yard line. Timeout, Mike Smith. 13 seconds left, and it is good for Matt Bryant.
Coach Carroll, you left number 2. Too much time on the clock.
Ryan's supporting cast of pass catchers was special. Tony Gonzalez made 4 straight Pro Bowls to end his career. Roddy White has the most touchdown catches in club history, and future Hall of Famer Julio Jones was a man among boys.
Sails it for Julio, a little underthrown. He caught it. What a catch!
Atlanta made 6 playoff appearances from 2008 to 2017, tying the Saints with 95 wins in that stretch, the most among NFC South teams. All John Madden did was win. The legendary coach turned broadcaster took over in 1969 for Al Davis's Oakland Raiders, a year before the AFL-NFL merger.
Okay, come on, defense! Knock it to him now!
From 1967 to 1977, Oakland was victorious in 81% of their games, the highest over that span. Madden's teams walloped their opponents by an average of 125 points a season. He had an embarrassment of riches to work with. 13 Hall of Fame players, including Ken Stabler, Cliff Branch, Art Shell, and Jim Otto. Together, this group made memories galore.
Kenny Stabler, touchdown Oakland!
Throws, it is! Oh, he caught it! He caught it! Unbelievable!
Casper makes it over the shoulder catch! He's caught from behind at the 15-yard line.
And although it took many agonizing tries to win the big one, Madden finally accomplished the ultimate goal in 1976.
Intercepted by the Oakland Raiders. Willie Brown at the 30, 40, 50. He's going all the way. John Madden's grin is from ear to ear. He looks like a slit watermelon.
Oakland made the playoffs all but once during these 11 years, earning 9 division titles. The Madden era gave way to the Tom Flores era in the 80s. As a former Raiders player, Flores' coaching career was wildly successful too, earning a pair of emphatic Super Bowl wins.
Holy Toledo! A play on which he should have lost 5 yards, and he goes 74 to score.
Flores, the first minority coach to win a Lombardi trophy, he helped the Raiders become the second franchise to hit 3 Super Bowl wins. He couldn't have done it without studs like Marcus Allen, Howie Long, Ted Hendricks, and Jim Plunkett. A group of Hall of Fame players and a deceptive defensive scheme defined the Buccaneers of the late 90s and early 2000s. The Tampa 2 era resulted in the ultimate prize.
It's intercepted at the 40. Derek Brooks 30. There it is. The dagger's in. We're going to win the Super Bowl.
Those star defenders consisted of Warren Sapp.
Oh, he's sacked by Warren Sapp.
And Derek Brooks.
Intercepted. 30, 25, 20. Derek Brooks 10, 5. Touchdown Tampa Bay.
Each won Defensive Player of the Year in their time. Now add John Lynch and Rondé Barber to the equation, and you've got one of the best defenses of all time, coached by the legendary Monty Kiffin.
Going
run coast to coast. Randy Barber, touchdown, Tampa Bay. The Buccaneers are the champions of the NFC.
From 1997 to 2002, the Bucs made 5 playoff appearances and won 2 division titles under Tony Dungy and John Gruden. They allowed the fewest points per game in the league during that span and tied for the second most wins. How about current Tampa Bay teams? From Tom Brady to Baker Mayfield, both QBs have helped ensure these aren't the same old Bucs anymore. After a Super Bowl win in Brady's first season,
throws toward the end zone. Touchdown, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Bucs are the Super Bowl champs.
Tampa rattled off 3 straight NFC South titles between Brady and Mayfield. Credit coaches Bruce Arians and Todd Bowles for keeping the ship steady, and longtime Bucs legends Mike Evans and Levante David for sticking it out through the dark days. The rise of Broadway Joe and the Jets in the late 60s may have done more for pro football than for the franchise itself.
To my knowledge, it's the largest amount ever given to an athlete for professional service. And let me say we're very happy to do it.
I think we got a heck of a shot of winning. We'll beat anybody in the world, and I think we're going to win next Sunday.
The New York Jets are the world champions. They have upset the Baltimore Colts and beat them handily here today.
Namath's choice to sign with an AFL team and a subsequent upset of the Colts in Super Bowl III opened everyone's eyes to the quality of the upstart league. New York's performance in that contest helped accelerate the merger 2 years after their Super Bowl winning season.
We would come out of it in our 26-team concept a much stronger organization and a much greater sport than we have been as 2 separate entities.
Namath flourished, leading the Jets to a top 3 passing attack every year from 1966 to 1969. Back in the 1968 AFL Championship, he needed a big-time performance from Hall of Fame receiver Don Maynard just to get to the big game in the first place.
Namath looking for the end zone, throwing, touchdown to Maynard!
Even sweeter, head coach Weeb Eubank beat his former team to win the Lombardi Trophy in '68, solidifying his Hall of Fame career. We're crowning the mid-'80s to early '90s as Chicago's greatest era. Bears legend Mike Ditka, who won an NFL championship with the franchise as a player, was named head coach in 1982.
It's an opportunity of a lifetime for me. It's something I've looked forward to.
The Bears won 6 division titles during his tenure, including 5 consecutive from 1984 to 1988. Of course, the most memorable of those seasons came in '85 when Chicago shuffled their way to the Super Bowl and delivered the second biggest beatdown in the game's history. Chicago became the second team to win at least 15 games in a regular season that year. Many argue that Chicago's defense that season was the best of all time. They did boast 4 Hall of Famers in the front 7 alone: Mike Singletary, Dan Hampton, Richard Dent, and Steve McMichael. Offensively, Sweetness carried the load en route to an all-time rushing record.
He's got it! He's out over the 25 to the 26-yard line. Walter Payton becomes the National Football League all-time leading rusher, surpassing Jim Brown.
Ditka's Bears compiled a 71% winning percentage between 1984 and 1991 and went 15-5 against the rival Packers during his time as head coach. Much like yo-yos, grunge, and frosted tips, the new expansion team in Jacksonville was incredibly 90s.
We're going to a football game!
But on the field, these guys were for real. Under head coach Tom Coughlin, the Jags tied for the highest win percentage in the NFL from 96 to 99.
Natron 25-20, he's gone. He's at the 10, the 5, touchdown Jacksonville.
Fred's at the 40, Fred breaks a tackle, he's on the run at the 50, Fred's on the go.
Mark Brunell with a masterful run of 29 yards.
The franchise started out with 4 playoff berths in the first 5 years of its existence and hasn't been able to replicate that kind of success since. Jacksonville picked up 4 postseason wins during this period. Much of that had to do with quarterback Mark Brunell and receiver Jimmy Smith.
Touchdown Jaguars! Touchdown Jaguars! Jimmy Smith has been magic at Mile High.
The Jags shocked Elway and the Broncos in Denver in '96 to advance to the AFC Championship. They went back 3 seasons later, a year in which they won a franchise record 14 games.
Touchdown! Jacksonville! 90 yards! 90 yards!
The longest touchdown run in Jacksonville history.
Fred Taylor, Keenan McCardle, and Hall of Famer Tony Baselli joined Burnell and Smith as the core of this great team. It wasn't all offense, though. Coughlin's bunch ranked first in points allowed in that dominant '99 campaign. There's only one way to describe the Rams' best era. It was the greatest show on turf. Hall of Famers Kurt Warner, Marshall Faulk, and Isaac Bruce headlined one of the most dynamic offenses in the sport's history.
It's not supposed to happen like this, Jack. It's not supposed to be this easy for an offense to score like this.
Touchdown, Rams! Yes! Ricky Prohl, the veteran. Listen to this crowd. 1st and 10 from the 27. Warner back to throw. Rainbows the far sideline, and it is caught by Isaac Bruce. Makes a move to the 30, 25-20, and they won't catch him today.
Yes. Fellow Hall of Famer Dick Vermeil coached the Rams to their first Super Bowl victory a year after posting a 4-win season.
Reaches to the goal line. No, he falls at the 1. Time runs out. That's it.
That's it, baby.
That's it.
That's it.
The '99 Rams are still the biggest preseason long shots ever to win it all. Warner captured MVP honors that season and won his second in 2001. Faulk garnered his own MVP in between and won Offensive Player of the Year 3 straight seasons from 1999 to 2001.
Marshall Faulk racing towards the end zone for the touchdown.
Not much changed when offensive coordinator Mike Martz took over as head coach in 2000. They returned to the Super Bowl a year later after a 14-win regular season, the most in franchise history. Martz kept the ship steady for the next few years, helping St. Louis make 5 playoff appearances in a 6-year stretch. These Rams hold 2 spots on the list of top 25 scoring offenses in NFL history. This proud franchise deserves a few more eras spotlighted. First, from 1973 to 1980, LA made 8 straight playoff trips, one of the longest streaks in NFL history.
Brody with the catch at the 25 and 20. Touchdown Rams! Touchdown Rams!
5 NFC championship games and 1 Super Bowl berth in that span. Sean McVay's bunch has been a threat in the NFC since the late 2010s. They've won 4 NFC West titles since 2017 and made 2 Super Bowls with a big hand from Aaron Donald, the greatest defender of his generation. LA won it all in 2021 with a heavy dose of Stafford to Cup.
Cooper Kupp's got it!
The Rams were built to win the Super Bowl, and they have sealed the deal.
The Miami Dolphins of the early 70s were a different kind of special. From 1970 to 1974, they won a staggering 83% of their games, the highest of any golden age on this list. And of course, the 72 Dolphins' perfect season is the only one in NFL history.
The Dolphins have won Super Bowl 7, have completed the greatest season in NFL history.
Don Shula brought him on to perfection. When you win 17 games without a defeat, that is perfect.
Behind a fantastic O-line and a bevy of stars like Greasy, Zonka, Morris, Warfield, the Finns became the second team to win back-to-back Super Bowls in 1973.
And the Miami Dolphins are the champions of the pro football world. They have won the Super Bowl for the 2nd time running.
That was Miami's 3rd straight trip to the Super Bowl, too. The famed no-name defense actually consisted of some pretty great players: Nick Boninconti, Bill Stanfield, Dick Anderson, and Jake Scott, to name a few.
Overshoots his mark. Jake Scott has the ball.
They all helped Shula become the winningest coach in NFL history when he retired decades later. We'd be remiss if Dan Marino's Dolphins didn't get a call-out. He's the best player in franchise history and probably the best pure passer the league has ever seen. The 1984 MVP shattered NFL records left and right, leading Miami to its most recent Super Bowl appearance.
The Dolphins have won the AFC Championship game and are now in Super Bowl 19.
The Hall of Famer led the Dolphins to 3 straight division titles in his first 3 seasons. Who Dat Nation is eternally grateful for the acquisitions of Sean Payton and Drew Brees in the 2006 offseason. For 15 years, all this duo did was shatter records.
Move over, Marino. There's a Brees coming through the door. Drew Brees has just broken Dan Marino's single-season passing yardage record.
Drew Brees is the NFL's all-time leading passer. 19 years, 273 games, over 76,000 yards, and now 540 touchdowns.
New Orleans finished with a top 5 scoring offense 10 times in the 15-year Peyton Breeze era. The QB still owns the record for completion percentage in a single season and produced 5 separate 5,000-yard passing campaigns. Talk about prolific. But while individual accolades come and go, it's Super Bowls that last forever.
Picked off! He's running free! He's going to go all the way! It is a Saint touchdown! The miracle in Miami has happened. The Saints have won the Super Bowl.
The Saints embodied New Orleans' resilience from the beginning of this successful stretch.
Covered by the Saints for a touchdown! What a moment! Just listen to this crowd.
While this era had its fair share of bad luck and playoff heartbreak, the 7 division titles and 9 postseason appearances provided hope every year. All pros like Jari Evans, Cam Jordan, Jimmy Graham, Michael Thomas helped New Orleans win 63% of its games in the Peyton Breeze era, the 4th highest in the league. How about a golden age that is getting stronger by the year? Andy Reid built the foundation of a dynasty when he took over as the Chiefs head coach in 2013. With quarterback Alex Smith by his side, he rattled off 4 playoff appearances in 5 years, including 2 division titles.
Charles finds the promised land for the 5th time in the game.
And Hill is off to the races, and he is going to go all the way. Tyreek Hill. Touchdown, Kansas City. And Smith, he fires deep, and that's going to be caught on the run by Kareem Hunt all the way for a Kansas City touchdown to tie the game.
How about those Chiefs?
Yet KC still couldn't find their footing in the playoffs. That is until number 15 came along and changed the fortunes of the franchise.
A remarkable acrobatic scramble, maybe the best play yet of Patrick Mahomes' incredible young career.
In his first year as a starter, all Patrick Mahomes did was throw for over 5,000 yards and 50 touchdowns en route to an MVP. The Reid-Mahomes Chiefs have been the best team in football since. With help from Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, and Chris Jones, they've pretty much done it all.
Bills have the lead, 36-33, with 13 seconds remaining.
Timeout called by the Chiefs. Mahomes goes down the middle to Kelce. Butker gets a kick up, and he ties the game. We're going to overtime. Mahomes looks to throw it. It is caught by Kelce, and the Chiefs have won this incredible divisional playoff game.
Their trifecta of Super Bowl wins in 5 years is just one of 5 such instances.
For the 2nd time in 4 seasons, the Lombardi Trophy has a red and gold reflection.
The Chiefs are back-to-back Super Bowl champions. First team to repeat in almost 20 years.
They're one of 8 franchises to win back-to-back Super Bowls and the first to win 2 in a row and return to the big game a 3rd straight time. The Chiefs also own the best win percentage in the league since 2013. Kansas City's 10-year playoff streak and 7 consecutive championship game berths each rank 2nd in NFL history. Legendary Washington coach Joe Gibbs won 3 Super Bowls with 3 different starting quarterbacks over 10 years, 2 of which were during strike seasons. Moral of the story, Gibbs' teams never let the circumstances affect them.
He's gone! He's gone! Touchdown, Washington Redskins!
That's a new Super Bowl record. 4 touchdowns in 1 quarter. He's got Clark in the end zone. Touchdown, Washington Redskins. Rippon has struck gold.
Gibbs won Coach of the Year twice and mentored 4 Hall of Fame players between 1982 and 1992.
Hey, make a play yet. We're going to start making them in a minute now. We'll start making them. Everybody keep your head up. Stand.
Washington won 69% of their regular season games over the decade. Gibbs' teams even broke barriers. Quarterback Doug Williams led Washington to its 2nd Super Bowl in '87, making history along the way.
Super Bowl MVP, Doug Williams of the Washington Redskins.
First black quarterback to start a Super Bowl, the first black quarterback to win a Super Bowl. I hope he puts to bed once and for all about the black athlete in professional football.
Washington had to fight through a loaded NFC East through the 80s and 90s, and they did just that. 8 total playoff appearances and 4 division titles from 1982 to 92. They had 2 NFL MVPs in that time as well, including the first and only kicker to win the award.
It's good! Mark Mosley has broken the National Football League record.
Gibbs' golden age was also innovative as he implemented the H-back, a hybrid tight end fullback role designed to slow down Lawrence Taylor, which has been used by various offenses since. What do Ken Anderson and Boomer Esiason have in common? For starters, they both played quarterback for the Bengals. They both won MVPs and led Cincinnati to Super Bowls against the 49ers. Even though both ultimately fell short, these Bengals still gave Cincy a lot to cheer about.
There's a field touchdown right down the middle of Collinsworth.
After the franchise's first ever playoff win in the '81 divisional, they squared off against the Chargers in the famous Freezer Bowl.
With winds out of the northwest gusting at 35 miles per hour, we're talking a wind-chilled 59 degrees below zero.
So that's the end of the AFC Championship game. The final score, Cincinnati Bengals 27 and the Chargers 7.
Anderson was the MVP that year. 7 seasons later, Esiason captured his MVP award in a 12-win season highlighted by a funky new dance.
Handoff goes to Hickey, left side, he is down, touchdown!
When I scored, I did the dance, and it kind of like took off like wildfire. I didn't expect it to take off like it did.
The Bengals have won the AFC Championship for the second time and will be in the Super Bowl.
Hall of Famer Anthony Munoz constantly protected both MVP quarterbacks throughout this era. Guys like James Brooks, Chris Collinsworth, Max Montoya, Tim Krumrie, and Ken Riley all played huge roles as well. Without them, Cincy doesn't win 4 division titles from 1981 to 1990. The Bengals have one of the best all-time quarterback rooms, and in the new millennium, it's been a healthy dose of Palmer, Dalton, and Burrow.
They're moving quickly. Chad Johnson in stride, and there he goes. Touchdown, Cincinnati. Ran past Bob Sanders, and they answer right back.
He proposed.
He did propose.
Dalton's going to take his shot. Near side, it is caught. A.J. Green cutting back, and he's in. Wow. 77 yards.
The Marvin Lewis era saw the team earn 6 playoff trips in a 7-year span. In fact, from 2012 to 2015, Cincy won the 4th most games in the league. Sadly, each of those postseason trips ended in the wild card round, but things changed when the Bengals added head coach Zach Taylor in 2019 and Heisman-winning QB Joe Burrow in 2020.
The Cincinnati Bengals are 1 win from going to the Super Bowl. It is good!
Cincinnati still hasn't won the big one, but the future seems stable with a great coach-QB combo. You'll have to rewind all the way back to 1957 for Detroit's last NFL championship, and since we've cut the list off at the Super Bowl era, we're giving the nod to Barry Sanders and the 90s Lions. The 2,000-yard back is on a short list of the greatest runners of all time. After all, he led the Lions to their first playoff win in nearly 30 years in 1991.
He's gone! Unbelievable! Touchdown, Lions, Barry Sanders! Oh my gosh, what a run!
That kick-started a stretch of 6 playoff appearances during the 90s, putting Detroit back on the NFL map.
Holy mackerel, what a run by Barry Sanders. That is one of the more incredible runs that you will ever see.
Barry Sanders turned around a defensive back about 3 times.
Wow.
Barry cut back. Now he's got it. 50, 40. He's well over 2,000 now. To the 5. Holy mackerel.
They can't take that ball away from him.
While the offense ran through Sanders, he got help from Brett Perriman and 3-time first-team All-Pro receiver Herman Moore.
One for Herman Moore, downfield, and Moore has a touchdown. Great catch.
Quarterback Scott Mitchell put together a few good seasons in Detroit later in the decade, while perennial Pro Bowl linebacker Chris Spielman led the defense.
Kramer to throw on first down, and the pass is caught underneath by Chris Gedney, and it's picked off by Spielman, and Spielman is going to run it in for the touchdown.
Sanders helped revitalize a city of passionate fans with his record-breaking efforts. The 1997 co-MVP and 2-time Offensive Player of the Year rushed for 1,500 yards in a record 5 different seasons.
Stop, starts 10-5, touchdown Lions. Holy mackerel. If you let Barry get beyond the line of scrimmage, it's a touchdown.
Now, time will tell, but the modern-day Lions may take this spot based on their current trajectory. Dan Campbell led Detroit to the NFC Championship in 2023, winning the club's first playoff game in 32 years. They followed that up with a 15-win season in 2024, an all-time franchise record. The Colts have a rich history of winning behind superstar quarterbacks, first Unitas, then Manning.
That's the record breaker! He broke it to Stokely!
It's number 49, and Dan Marino can take a step back. Peyton Manning's the leader.
Touchdown! The 86th touchdown pass from Manning to Marvin Harrison. Throws one downfield. Reggie's there. Got it to 20. Reggie Wayne catches the touchdown pass, a 53-yard touchdown throw.
Peyton Manning started 208 straight games to begin his career and won an NFL record 4 MVPs with the Colts. No season was better than 2004, when he broke Dan Marino's 20-year record for touchdowns in a single season. In 2009, he became the only quarterback to lead 5 straight fourth-quarter comebacks.
Well, yes, 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 yes! Reggie scores with 13 seconds left to go.
Peyton Manning gets, 40? That's his 40th comeback win ever?
40th comeback win.
From 1999 to 2010, Indy scored the most points in the NFL while winning 72% of their games, also tops in the league. Franchise cornerstones Harrison, Wayne, James, Freeney, and Mathis fueled this Colts machine. Together, they made 9 straight playoff appearances from 2002 to 2010, tying an NFL record at the time. And in 2006, the Colts finally got the monkey off their back.
Throws one over the intercepted! Marlon Jackson! Marlon's got it! We're going to the Super Bowl! Grossman drops to throw. Intercepted by Kelvin Hayden! Down the sideline. Touchdown, Kelvin Hayden! The Colts are world champions! World champions for the first time.
It was a deserving prize for Hall of Fame coach Tony Dungy, the first black head coach to hoist the Lombardi. We mentioned it was Johnny U's team first, right? The Baltimore Colts were the class of the NFL from 1958 to 1971. They captured 3 NFL championships and a Super Bowl in that span, led by Hall of Fame coaches Weeb Ewbank and Don Shula.
And the Baltimore Colts have won the National Football League championship here, 34-0.
Unitas won 3 MVPs, and even his backup, Earl Morrall, took home one in 1968. The Colts were loaded with legends across the board: Jim Parker, Gino Marchetti, Art Donovan, Raymond Berry, Lenny Moore, and John Mackey. In 1970, Baltimore won its first Super Bowl in Unitas' final season as the full-time starter.
You saw it. You saw Superman take off his cape and run down the football field and outrun secondary people. Cam Newton, I got to give you big ups, big ups, big ups.
Cam Newton set records the moment he stepped foot into the NFL. The 2011 Offensive Rookie of the Year was the first of his kind to throw for 4,000 yards in a season and recorded the most total yards and touchdowns of any newbie in league history. As he grew as a player, so did the success of the Carolina Panthers. From 2013 to 2017, the Panthers made 4 playoff appearances, including 3 division titles.
Newton gets hit, but Newton throws end zone. Hickson makes a diving catch. Touchdown! Carolina's going to the postseason.
Yes, they are.
Carolina has done it again. Taking the NFC South Division Championship.
The history of the NFC South, the first back-to-back division champs.
Cam's most memorable season came in 2015 when he won league MVP and guided Carolina to a 15-win season and its second Super Bowl berth in franchise history.
He knew he was going to do a Superman. Cam Newton, the legend grows.
The Carolina Panthers are headed to Super Bowl 50.
That season, Newton became the first player with at least 30 touchdown passes and 10 rushing scores in the same year. Newton got plenty of help from 2-time Coach of the Year, Ron Rivera, and Defensive Player of the Year, Luke Kuechly.
Luke, you are the best middle linebacker in the whole wide world.
Kuechly cut right in front of a Palmer pass and housed it. Unbelievable. And it's Kuechly, and he gets there for a sack.
Carolina had a top 10 total defense in 4 of 5 seasons from 13 to 17, with Kuechly, Thomas Davis, Josh Norman, and many more playing big parts. Together, they helped the Panthers earn the second most total wins in the NFC, just behind those great Seattle squads. Quick shout out to the Panthers of the 2000s. Before Newton and Rivera, there was Delhomme and Fox, alongside stars Steve Smith, Muhsin Muhammad, and Hall of Fame DN Julius Peppers. The Cardiac Cats made their first trip to the Super Bowl in 2003.
Smith at the 45 to the 40.
It's
breaks
over.
free.
It's over.
20. Touchdown.
Woo.
And we are going to the NFC Championship game. Yes, Charlotte, there is a Super Bowl, and we're in it.
Carolina followed that up with another conference championship game berth in 2005, helping the young franchise become a consistent threat in the NFC.
One thing that never let Chuck Noll down was the magnificent steel curtain defense.
The Black and Gold's finest era came in the 70s behind one of the strongest defensive units ever. Hall of Famers Joe Green, Jack Lambert, Mel Blount, Donnie Shell, and Jack Ham spearheaded a defense that led Pittsburgh to 4 Lombardi trophies over 8 seasons. The first true dynasty of the Super Bowl era started with an immaculate reception in 1972.
And there's a collision. It's caught out of the air. The ball is pulled in by Franco Harris. Harris is going for a touchdown for Pittsburgh.
That was the franchise's first playoff win in its 40-year history, and that was just the tip of the iceberg.
Bradshaw gets a big block and fires into the end zone, complete for the touchdown. Now he fires for the bomb, and Lynn Swann going for it. Swann pulls it in for a touchdown. Lynn Swann beat his man.
Super Bowl 13, captured by the Pittsburgh Steelers.
They went straight down the middle on the bomb, and Johnny Stallworth on the receiving end. The Pittsburgh Steelers are the champions of the National Football League for the 4th time.
Lambert, Green, and Blount each had Defensive Player of the Year seasons, and quarterback Terry Bradshaw won League MVP in 1978.
Here is Bradshaw giving the ball to Blyer. Blyer reverses it to Swann. He gives it back to Bradshaw. Bradshaw firing for Cunningham. A Pittsburgh touchdown to win the ball game.
Swann, Stallworth, and Franco helped Pittsburgh outscore their opponents by 149 points a season from 72 to 79. Legendary coach Chuck Noll won 76% of the time in that stretch, by far the most during this period. They remain the only team in history to win back-to-back Lombardis twice. The Arizona Cardinals are the oldest franchise in the league, dating back to 1898, yet they've only made 11 playoff appearances. They've won 2 NFL championships, most recently in 1947, but they hadn't returned to a title game until 2008, when Kurt Warner was making the most of his career renaissance in the desert.
If you're going to come after the graybeard, you better make sure you get him, because he will make you pay.
Joined by receivers Larry Fitzgerald and Anquan Bolden, the Cardinals developed one of the most lethal passing attacks in the NFL. In 2008, Arizona rode Fitzgerald's hot hands all the way to a Super Bowl.
Going for Fitz, he's in double coverage, it doesn't matter! He caught it anyway! You can't stop that guy!
The Arizona Cardinals have made it to the Super Bowl.
Fires over the middle to Fitz, caught at the 45-50, Fitz is loose!
To the house!
They didn't bring home the hardware, but making the franchise's first Super Bowl was a major deal. The following season, Arizona won the division again. They didn't repeat as NFC champs, but earned one of the most exciting playoff wins in recent memory.
Rodgers hit, ball came out, Cardinals have it, Dansby, he's gonna score! No. Cardinals win, they're going to New Orleans!
An honorable mention to a great 3-year stretch from 2013 to 2015. This time it was veteran Carson Palmer thriving. The Cards notched 3 straight 10-win seasons, including a franchise-high 13 wins in 2015. In that year's divisional round, Palmer found Larry Legend in one of the greatest finishes in NFL history.
Fitz is wide open, caught at the 35, nobody's there. Stiff arms 30, 25-20, Fitz to the near side 10, to the 5, and tackled there.
And Fitz does it again in the playoffs. He has been a legend in the postseason.
The Cardinals advance to the NFC Championship game on a shovel pass, of all things, in one of the craziest games ever.
Houston drafted J.J. Watt in 2011, and the Texans immediately accomplished some firsts. First playoff appearance, division title, and playoff win. Coincidence? I think not.
Rock and roll, pick six.
Watt heavily influenced Houston's success. He racked up 101 sacks over his 10 seasons with the Texans and won Defensive Player of the Year 3 times in a 4-year span. It wasn't all number 99, though.
The Texans win it! Houston wins in overtime!
Hall of Famer Andre Johnson posted back-to-back 1,400-yard seasons for the second time in his career in 2012 and 13, and the Texans had another star wideout waiting in the wings.
Hopkins with a juggling grab. Does he make it? Yes!
DeAndre Hopkins averaged over 1,200 yards a season in Houston, making 4 Pro Bowls along the way. Throw in the great Arian Foster, and you had an offensive powerhouse. Led first by Gary Kubiak and later Bill O'Brien, the Texans won 6 AFC South titles from 2011 to 2019 and 4 total playoff games.
Well, here's the snap. Here's a blitz. Watson in trouble. Watson escapes to the right side, and Watson throws it to Jones. The magician does it again. This is going to be a 28-yard field goal for the victory. And it's good!
Although the 90s Cowboys won 1 more Super Bowl than Tom Landry's teams, their success pales in comparison to what the legendary coach accomplished for over 2 decades.
We had to struggle for so long. I mean, 11 years of my life, I struggled with all my teammates, and we finally won it, and it was just like being free. You just felt like you could put in your flag.
Roger goes deep across the middle. Bunch Johnson caught! Touchdown!
And there he goes. Landry, still calm, still collected, will put on another ring.
Landry was the man responsible for developing the rich tradition of the Dallas Star and drastically advanced defensive schematics, too.
All right, let's go. Timeout. We're going 40. If you get a double wing look in there, then switch your defense right there in the 41-30.
Landry's 29 seasons at the helm is tied for the longest uninterrupted tenure. From 1966 to 85, the Cowboys missed the playoffs twice. Think about that. Not even the Brady-Belichick Patriots made as many playoff trips in their 20 years together. Even crazier, 19 Hall of Famers came through that organization during Landry's times, him included.
It's a great pleasure for me to come in to the Hall of Fame. Never thought I'd make it, but sure glad to be here. Thank you very much.
A 73% win percentage over 2 decades, 13 division titles, 2 Super Bowl wins, plus these Cowboys produced so many iconic moments along the way.
Well, the Cowboys need a miracle. Pearson makes the catch at the 5, touchdown!
Long count by Greasy, goes back to pass. Looking, Tate, back to the 20-yard line. Still Tate, back to the 15. Still being Tate to the 10. He's got him. And Bob Bowie brings it down at the 8-yard line.
Danny back to throw, into the end zone. Caught! Touchdown! Drew Pearson!
Stars like Roger Staubach, Drew Pearson, Bob Hayes, Tony Dorsett led numerous top 10 scoring offenses. Landry's ferocious defenses over the years featured the likes of Bob Lilly, Randy White, Chuck Howley, Mel Renfro, and Charlie Waters. Dallas's 9 straight playoff appearances from 1975 to 83 were an NFL record until 2018.
How about them Cowboys?
You know we had to show some love to the great Cowboys teams of the 90s. Led by the triplets Troy Aikman, Emmitt Smith, and Michael Irvin, the Dallas offense averaged 36 points in their 3 Super Bowl wins, all of which came in a 4-year span. They say you're supposed to save the best for last.
You're the greatest of all time.
We're here.
You're the greatest, and you're the greatest.
Brady and Belichick, enough said. There's no beating around the bush with this partnership. It produced the best stretch of any team in the Super Bowl era, a record-tying 6 Lombardi trophies over 20 seasons, and 2 separate dynasties a decade apart from each other.
It's good! It's good! And the Patriots are Super Bowl champions!
Wilson, quick throw. And it's
good!
Intercepted to Malcolm Butler! Driving forward, diving to the goal line! A touchdown and a title for the Patriots! Takes the snap. Harmon on a blitz. Goff throws it to the right.
Gilmore's there, intercepted at the 4.
The Patriot way was winning at the highest mark no matter the circumstance. They're the only team to finish the regular season 16-0. Even when Brady couldn't play, New England still won. See 2008 with Matt Castle. The Pats won 17 division titles during this span, including an NFL record 11 straight from 2009 to 2019.
Patriots win in overtime, and it's a mob scene. 15 seconds to go. The handoff to Edger.
He is stopped. Willie McGinnis made the stop at the 1-yard line.
Would you believe it? Fiedler on first down, fires, intercepted, touchdown, Teddy Bruschi. The fans are throwing snow into the air. A new National Football League record. They make the New York Jets their 21st consecutive victim. Tom Brady to Randy Moss, and they each have set NFL records on the go-ahead touchdown.
To the ball, carry him high in the air, and Edelman has his hands underneath it and his arms around. And in fact, there was a bubble, but he was able to catch it before it hit the turf.
No matter what button the Patriots push, it's perfect.
Their 11 straight playoff appearances, also the most in NFL history. And if that wasn't enough, New England made a record 8 consecutive championship game appearances from 2011 to 2018.
Fires end zone. Caught! Touchdown! No! They ruled he didn't hold on to the ball.
Caught in the back of the end zone by Danny Amendola. Touchdown, Patriots!
Their 76% win margin over 2 decades was even higher than the Cowboys during Tom Landry's remarkable 20-year golden era. Good luck to any team trying to top that.